What do you recall about your financial life before the Great Recession?
Well, I was believed and done everything very conservatively. I never took any risks. I just gradually, tried to think ahead, plan ahead, long term and short term. So just a gradual increase, so I wouldn't have any, great changes or great risks at all. That's what I did typically all the way up to that point and still do.
How did you discover that our nation was facing a severe economic situation?
Well, first it was, of course, on the news all the time about the layoffs in this area. Also, housing. Of course, it was a big news item. Um, at work you're going to see it too. The downturn in business. Of course, depending what you are, I saw some of it. But mostly, I'd say it was news coverage, consistent news coverage that you follow day by day.
What financial hardships did you experience during this economic situation?
Well, it wasn't. It was not investment wise any setbacks or anything, but in business career wise, things kind of stalled. Um, when business takes a downturn, the bonuses leave, the company will restructure. Also, at that time, uh, it was a little bit after, but the company after that time took a downturn and that they had to merge management and merged more than one company together, so different levels of management kind of got squeezed out. And so over time, that was an effect that I did see.
How did the Great Recession impact you?
Well, the net result is over time at work, the management level I was in did get eliminated, and I had to make a career change. Um, what had happened is the company I was with, which is a major, car rental company, they their kind of strategy was they're going to have to eliminate management and to kind of coast for a while was their little catchphrase. They're going to have to coast. Uh, Reason is, of course, business. There was a downturn in business. When all businesses have to cut costs, they cut travel. That's one big thing because, of course, car rental is a good part of that. Also, when the auto industry takes a downturn, the cost of the cars goes up. So we can't buy the cars that we did. We have to keep the cars longer in the fleet, which raises your maintenance cost. Because the vehicles typically before we got rid of before we had to put any maintenance into them, but now we're buying, brakes and tires and batteries and all those kind of things. And Also the busing, around the airport we had to buy smaller buses to make it work. Couldn't afford to run the big ones anymore. But anyway, eventually after that, the level of management that I was in did get squeezed out. They merged all the management, and I had to go on to a different, actually non-related career, which did turn out well. Glad it happened, but it didn't happen for a good reason.
How did you feel about financial bailout given to the banking industry?
Well, that's one of these things. Certain people that are responsible for it, I certainly didn't want them to be bailed out. But as a whole, I understand that you have to help out the industry to not cause further, hardship to the economy, to the people that really weren't responsible for their greed, shall we say, and their, bending the rules, I guess you'd say, to, so they could live in excess while this was happening.
How did you feel about financial bailout given to the automotive industry?
Well, I had a similar opinion on that. Again, especially around here, the auto industry, is something that keeps pretty much everything going. I know it's a little bit different now, but at that point, I mean, the manufacturing and the parts and the engineering, and so much of it was around here that you do need to keep it going. I didn't like, though, the way I perceived it is that they were bailing out the auto industry, so that would save everybody, in that the auto industry was some elite class of people that deserved more to be bailed out than anyone else. I really did not like the way they presented it. I understand why they did it. It was a good thing. I just didn't like necessarily the way they kind of publicized it, in that if we bail out the auto industry that, in my opinion, has lived in excess for, so many years too, that that will trickle down and help the common people. That certainly didn't sit well with me.
What do you believe should be done to protect the people from economic problems?
Well, the banking industry, of course, needs to be watched so they don't, take advantage, of people and mortgages and things. Hopefully the auto industry and other big industries watch themselves so they don't, again, aren't so assured that, everything is okay for them. There is a point where, people will stop buying the product, and, people don't have to buy new cars all the time. It's proven they don't have to. So I hope they'll, had a little wake-up call that, this generation of people and people, soon after that will be in charge will know that this can happen and, not let it happen again.
How has the Great Recession changed you?
Not so much, other than, a new career move. Again, not all things, but a lot of things happened for a reason, so I'm glad that did happen. It's just something that, on a smaller basis, that, you hear in your grandparents and what have you talk about the Great Depression. I mean, it was just a small sample of that we lived. I mean, certainly nothing like, stories that I heard from them, from that generation.
How has the Great Recession changed our nation or the world?
Again, I think it's a thing that we need to watch and kind of be careful of ourselves. We need to not only watch our own not living in excess for now, we need to plan ahead and know that not everything can continually keep growing. You can only sustain so much growth, in the economy. We just have to be reasonable for now and not, again, want to live in excess now. We have to think ahead a little bit.
What lessons should be learned from the Great Recession?
That would, also be true, that people's need to sustain, products and wages that are, attainable, and nobody can just assume that their product is always going to be, in great need as it was now. We need to, of course, make sure that we're making and buying, our own products here. Competition is fine, but you can't make it so that you're, hurting yourself by allowing other products to come in and take over, and be sold over your own products. I mean, the market will work itself out in itself. You just have to make sure that you're smart enough and the people know that, you can't, again, hurt yourself. You have to make sure that you're watching things, that there isn't a trend that you're going to get yourself into a financial trap later.